So the first thing that you're going to be asked for when you click on SketchUp is what template you want to use. Now this will only happen on the first time, so it's not too much of a problem. But the idea is you scroll down, there are lots of templates there for all sorts of things, but when you get to the one at the bottom here that says 3D printing millimeters, that's the one that you want. So we've selected that just by clicking on it. You select it and then you go start using my SketchUp and the screen will disappear, and given a bit of time it comes back. So here's our main SketchUp screen. Now the first thing to do really is to acquaint yourself with the tools that you're going to need, and we'll have a look at those now. Now there are lots of tools down this side. Your toolbar may be somewhere else. I just moved mine to the right hand side because I think it's a bit easier. And we're not going to use all of these tools. I'll point out the main ones that we'll be using. So the first one will be the erase tool, just there. Then we've got the straight line tool, which draws a line between 2 points. Then we've got the rectangle tool, which is extremely important and very useful. Then we've got circle, if you need to, polygon. This one here, just here in the corner here, that's the 2-point arc, and again another very useful tool. And then as we go down a bit further, this tool is the move tool, which you can move things around and about with. Now this is the push-pull tool. This is what gives you your three-dimensional aspect. So again, a very, very important tool. This one here, the rotate tool, allows you to move around the 3 axes, I suppose. And then here the follow me tool, which we don't use very much, but it is useful occasionally. The scale tool is very useful if, like me, you're scaling something down from 4mm to 2mm. And also the offset tool, which is very good because it gives you a certain box within a box, if you like. I'll explain that a bit later on, it's difficult to explain. The measuring tool, the tape measure, yes, well, we all need a tape measure from time to time, and this is very useful. Now beyond that, there's really not much that we need. Right at the bottom of the toolbar here, we've got some sort of, they're orbital tools really. This is the one that moves the entire thing round. This one will pan across and up and down. And then you've got your zoom in, zoom out. This resets it so that everything is back where it should be. So if you get lost in a drawing, just press that and it will all come up in one place and you should be able to find where you want to go again. And that really is about all you need. So you can always play it again if you've got lost anywhere there, but hopefully you will have understood that. Now we're assuming that you've already got your drawing and you've measured the drawing up and you've made some notes about how big things should be. And that's really all you have to do. I'm going to make it a bit easier. I'm going to do an O gauge size. I think it's of a 3-window Accrington car. So first of all, let's get rid of this. Now we get rid of this just by clicking on the word MakerBot Replica, and that comes up, and you notice it's all in blue. Press delete and it's gone. Now using one of the orbital tools down here, the orbit tool, if we click on that, we can then move this around. Give ourselves a bit of space, so I'll use the pan tool, a little bit more of the orbit just to bring it like that. Now what we want to do is to put a rectangle in that is the size of the side of the car, which happens to be 50mm high by 111 long. So use the rectangle tool, click on that, go to the corner, and you'll notice that it comes up with the word origin. Just hold your finger on the left mouse button and drag as far as you want. Okay, now it doesn't matter how big you make this. When you take your finger off, you'll go dark. If you now type just 50, comma 111. It comes up down the bottom on the far right hand side. I think you can probably just about see that. Then click enter, and there you are. Now you'll notice that that's the wrong way round. Because we've made a little bit of a mistake, we've put the wrong measurement in first. But don't worry, providing you haven't done anything else, you can type in 111, comma, 50, hit enter, and there we are. That's our side. Now you'll notice it's quite small. We can zoom in. Now you can do that in two ways. You can either use the zoom tool down here, and just by moving, by holding your finger down on the left mouse button and just moving the mouse, you can zoom in, zoom out. Now you notice it disappeared off the screen, so we use the pan tool. There we are. It gives us a bit more to work on. Now the first thing we've got on this, we've got to give it some depth. Now it doesn't matter how much depth you give it, but it's better to give it too much than too little. So let's start by using our tool here, the push-pull tool. Click on that, bring it over, and you'll notice that the patterning changes on the top of the drawing itself. Hold the left mouse down, the mouse bar down, and just lift it up. Now again, we've lifted that up over 12 millimeters, which is far too thick for what we want. Let's make it 3 millimeters. So just hit 3 on the keypad. It changes the distance to 3, and you click enter, and there we've now got a 3 millimeter block of plastic, if you like, which is 111 millimeters long by 50 millimeters high, which just happens to be what we want. Now the first thing we've got to do is to work out where the cant rail is going to be, and the cant rail is roughly 10 millimeters up from the base. So using the tape measure tool, click on the tape measure tool, and you'll see it turns into a very nice little yellow tape measure. Go onto the bottom line and make sure that you're getting a green axis come up on this. You'll see a green line following the measurement. Doesn't matter again how high it is, but we know it's got to be 10, so we just type in 10 and we hit that. Now that's the bottom of the cant rail. Now above that we've got the window. Now the window happens to be another 10 from there. So go onto there, just move it to wherever you want, left mouse button click on 10, and that's the bottom of the window. The windows themselves are 20. That's the big pane of the window, because we're going to do the small ones separately. So we draw another line up here, same way using the measurement tool. Right, now that's got to there. That's jolly good. Now above that we've got a glazing bar, which is 1 millimeter. So again, doesn't matter, you can go right up to there with it if you want. Just click 1. There we are, that's the glazing bar. Then we've got the top windows, which are 6 millimeters. So we go to here. Just zoom in a bit, just by using. I use the little wheel on top of the mouse to do that, but you can use the magnifying tool. Right, so we go to 6 there, and then hopefully what we should have left is about 3. And by heavens it is. So we've got it all right. Now, it looks a bit strange, doesn't it? And it's a lot easier perhaps if we stand it up a little bit. So I just use the mouse wheel to move it about and together with the pan tool. Now if we go back to the orbit tool and just tilt it. Okay. So now we've got something that perhaps we can work a little bit easier with. Now having looked at the drawing, we've got a glazing bar on the left hand side, which is 2.5 millimeters. So using the measuring tool again, here we go to there, come in 2.5 millimeters, 2.5, and that's that. Now we've got a window which is 34 millimeters, 34. We've got a glazing bar which is, or window pillar, which is 2 millimeters. Now all these drawings, all these measurements have come off the drawing, so hopefully they're right. Then we've got 34 for another window, and then we've got 34, sorry, we've got 2 for another window pillar. Then we've got another 34, which means that on this end here we have got 2.5. So again, we're right. Oh, that's good. I'm quite pleased with that. Now the upper windows, the smaller windows above it, these ones sort of here, they are double windows on each of the large windows. So we know it's 34, so we go along 17, and that gives us the centre point. But of course that doesn't take into account the pillar itself, the small pillar between the two windows. So the thing to do, let's use another tool here. Let's use our rubber tool, that one there, the eraser. And if we come along and we just touch onto that line anywhere there, and it's gone. Right, now what we can do, we know it's got to be a millimetre, so if we go 16.5, okay, and then we go 1, then that shows us where our glazing bar, the bar between the two small windows is. We'll do the same here, so we go 16.5, and a 1, and again we'll do the same here, If you make a mistake, don't worry, just erase the line and start again, but try not to erase any of the others, that's always the thing. 1. Okay, right, so that's our side really marked out. Now, we know that just below the windows there's another raised bar, so let's go up 1 millimetre there. Now we want to cut out the big windows, so using our rectangle tool, come across. These hatched lines, the dotted lines, don't interfere with any other process. They're there purely as a guide. So we've brought the rectangle tool over, we've gone into the left corner, we've got a little red cross come up, hold the left mouse button down and drag that across to there. Do the same with that one. And do the same with that one. See? Now, you can always, if you do make a mistake like that, you can use the old Control Z to get rid of it. Or you can use the erase tool. And we've done it again. So we've done one with that. It's because I'm left-handed and I'm trying to do this the wrong way round. Right, here we go. Into that corner. Drag that across. So there's our 3 main windows. Now we've got to do the same with the top ones. So again, it's just like that. You could of course use the straight line tool, but it's so much easier doing it with the rectangle, said he. Right, so that's got all 4 of our upper windows. Now looking at the drawing, sorry, all 6 of our upper windows, but looking at the drawing, they are slightly inset with a frame. Now this is where we can use this very, very useful tool here. This is the offset tool. So click the offset. Now we know that the frames are just about 1 millimetre. Now if we go to there, you'll see that that window then becomes dotted. Hold down the left mouse button and just drag that to there, keeping the left mouse button down. Type 1 on the keyboard and press enter. Right, now we've done that. Now we can do that on all the others. You just into the centre. 1. Okay, so we've now done that to all of the windows. Now what we want to do is punch a hole out. That's the easy part. If we use our push-pull tool, that one there, just click on it. Now if I do that, you'll see that things start going out, but it's got a bit strange there. I've still got my finger on the left mouse button, don't take your finger off that. But when you do take your finger off, we know that the depth is 3mm. So type 3 in the keyboard, and there you go, press enter and it's gone. Now that push-pull tool will remember that, so double click, double click, there we go, and there we are. That's all three of those windows done. Now we can punch out the centre, not the outer rings, but the centre of the top ones as well. Okay, now the reason we've got that offset around the windows is because we want that just slightly inset. Let's inset that by 0.5 mm. So move the push-pull tool until you just get the dots around on that section there. Hold the left mouse button down. Now you'll notice that I've pushed it through. Release the mouse button and type in 0.5, press enter, and there we are. There's your offset. We can do that on all of them because it remembers it. If you make a mistake, don't worry, you can always do it again. Control Z is the saviour of many of us on this. So there we've got a very basic side. Now we need a little bit of adornment on it, so we need a cant rail. So you can, this time let's use the pencil tool. So we use the pencil tool, and we know that's the bottom of the cant rail there. So you click once on the left hand end. When you get to the far end, you'll see the red cross come up. Just left click there and we've drawn a line. Very simple. Use the measurer and go up from that line, go up, keeping it on the green. You see, notice there for a moment it went blue. We don't want the blue, you want the green because we're following the green axis. So type in 1, right, and that gives us the top of the cant rail. There we go, same with it. Okay, so what we're going to do with that? Well, we can lift that. You saw how we did the push-pull tool with the window, so we can do it with this. So we select the push-pull tool and wait until we do that. Just drag it up as far as you want. And we'll make that 1mm high. So type in 1. Okay, there's the rail. We'll put one just below the window. So we go there and there. Measure down 1mm. There it is. There you go. Right, so we've got that now. We haven't done anything else with the push-pull tool, so it should remember our 1mm, and there you are. So if we now have a quick look at that from the side, there we are. It's a little bit slab-sided though, isn't it? You can always make those rails smaller. You could, do them as 0.5mm or whatever. But what we haven't got is any sort of real tumble home. Let's say we wanted a tumble home below the cant rail of, it's going to take it down to 2mm. So use the measuring tool. From the bottom here, this edge here, hold it down. Now you'll notice now that the axis line has changed to blue. So we know that's 3mm thick, so let's go to 2. Now we've got a line down the side there that runs from 1mm below the top surface. And what we want to do now is to give that a curve. So using the 2-point arc, click on the 2-point arc. Now let's just zoom in so you can see what we're doing. So if we click on that end point there, and then we hold that down until we get to the end point there, and then we can muck about with the curve just by moving that along. When you're right, just click it. Now we've got a curved line. Now you'll notice if we use the push-pull tool, now we've only got that little bit. If you find that it hasn't worked, Control Z and do it again, because you've probably not quite touched the line with the new line. Now you notice then that we can do that. We know how long that is, it's 111. So type in 111, press enter, and there we are. So now that's looking slightly better.